Welcome to the State of the City. Typically, over 300 residents, community, and business leaders gather at Raintree Golf and Event Center to hear this address, a summary of the city's financial performance and accomplishments for the prior year. But 2020 was not a normal year, and it's only fitting that we are forced to take this new approach to communicate the state of the city. So please join me now as I share the ups and downs of 2020 and provide a little insight into 2021. In early March, the pandemic hit Ohio. As we watched a gathering storm with dread, we were unsure of what it would take to weather the storm, to operate our city in a pandemic. We knew our priority would be public safety. We would need to protect and support our first responders. We would need to maintain basic city services for our residents and business community. Those first few weeks were a blur, closing facilities, creating new policies for our employees, canceling events, and sifting through and sharing new information with our key stakeholders as we received it. Now the definition of essential services changed. All our employees were essential, perhaps now in different ways than before. Our entire organization focused, more than ever, on our community. Who needed support? Who could help? Who are the most vulnerable? How would we come together? At that moment, we became a new organization. We became Green Together. We put together an emergency response team led by the organizational talents of Fire Chief Jeff Fenai and the public information skills of Communications Manager Valerie Wolford. Our first task was to reassign employees to lead our community outreach teams. I immediately began working with our senior living facilities. Jessica Heiser began working with our daycare centers. Our leadership team began meeting daily with Green Local Schools administration. Wayne Wheathy maintained daily contact with the Akron-Canton Airport. Chrissy Lingenfelter organized our volunteer center. Sarah Herring began working with our faith-based and community support organizations like Green Good Neighbors. One team of employees called every business in the city. Another team called all our senior citizens. And I am forever thankful and appreciative of Green City Council leadership, President Barbara Babbitt and Vice President Rocco Yergin, for participating in our daily team meetings, overseeing our volunteer and business outreach centers, providing community input, and valuable recommendations. We established a Green Together hotline for those needing assistance. We set up a volunteer network of those who wanted to help their neighbors. We connected those most in need with the resources they needed. Over 70 volunteers began calling isolated seniors twice a week to make sure that they were okay, to see if there was anything that they needed, or just to be a friendly voice, someone to talk to. Initially, we met with our faith-based organizations weekly to help them understand safety protocols and new ways to keep their congregations together. But our churches wanted to do more. They wanted to serve their community, and that they did. They filled the needs that the city couldn't, such as delivering groceries or making minor home repairs to those in need of special assistance. Green Together brought together our community. In May, with the help of volunteers, our churches, and city employees, we conducted a food drive that collected more than 15,000 items. And again, in October, we collected another 10,000 items. These donations for Green Good Neighbors and Blessings in a Backpack provided food and essential items to those in need. Green Together became a mass collection and distribution center, recognizing that some of our residents, and notably April Drive resident Sandy Klein, wanted to help others by using their talents to make cloth masks, even before masks were required. We began to encourage mask making, collecting the masks, and using other volunteers to deliver them to members of our community. When the family of School Board President Bob Campbell offered a sizable collection of fabric to the effort, we distributed that fabric to our mask makers. And from the loving hands of more than 50 volunteers, 6,000 homemade masks were collected and distributed free to our residents. We brought together our daycare centers to share information and sort through the evolving restrictions and guidelines. We saw these business competitors start working together to share information, offer support, and encourage each other. We created videos called Takeout Tuesday to highlight our green restaurants and promote new takeout and delivery options. Green employees reached out to every one of our 1,200 businesses, from large corporations to small mom-and-pop businesses, to listen to their needs and concerns. We alerted them to grant opportunities from state and county programs. Special thanks to Greene City Council for allocating $50,000 from the general fund to ensure that Greene businesses could receive those county grants. For those who didn't receive grants, we offered interest-free loans up to $6,000 to help them with rent, utilities, and expenses where many were forced to shut down. Again, Greene City Council stepped in to allocate $600,000 from the general fund to support our local businesses. Later in the year, when airline travel had slowed to a near standstill, City Council again stepped up to support our local economy by allocating $50,000 to help the Akron-Canton Airport reestablish air service routes. Along with Summit County and other regional partners and matching funds from Jobs Ohio, we were able to offer a $1 million incentive program to restore air services at our convenient regional airport. Like the Akron-Canton Airport, many of our businesses continue to struggle into the year 2021. The City of Greene will continue to be a leader in the region to revive our airport and the local economy. And while year 2020 had its challenges, the city's financial outlook remained strong. In 2020, our income tax revenue, which typically makes up approximately 65% of our budget, was $23.4 million, down approximately 5.3% from the year 2019. And although income tax revenue was slightly down due to a slowdown in business activity, we received $30.5 million in other revenue sources in 2020, the highest amount in city history. Let me break down what led to our record level of other revenue. We received $10 million by issuing bonds for the Massillon Road North project, $2.1 million in CARES Act funding, $4.8 million in federal grants for the Massillon Road North project, and refunds totaling $575,000 from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Including several of these unique one-time sources of other income, total revenue for the City of Greene was $53.9 million, up $13.7 million over the prior year, 2019. In 2021, we are projecting revenues to return to a level of $35 million, which is more in line with fiscal year 2017 than the extraordinary revenues of 2020. What we don't know is how businesses in our community will weather the pandemic. We know a few have closed, some who are working desperately to survive, and others who are thriving. And in this uncertain business climate, our income tax-based projections also reflect the pending loss of Diebold Nixdorf, who's moving their headquarters to Hudson in mid-2021. In 2020, our operating expenses were $28.5 million, which is 11% more than in 2019. The largest increase, which was planned for, was $1 million to staff and operate Fire Station Number 3. We also allocated funds related to the pandemic, $700,000 for grants and business loans to assist Greene businesses, and $90,000 for COVID-19 supplies and facility modifications. Because city employees are paid every 2 weeks, an extra paycheck is required once in about every 11 or 12 years, and 2020 happened to be that year. We also paid $300,000 in income tax refunds, which could reflect the impact of COVID-19 on our business community. So while some of the increase in spending is attributed to COVID-19, much of this increase was budgeted. Even with the increase in spending in 2020, we ended the year with a general fund balance of $21.3 million. Our fiscal policy of maintaining a $20 million operating reserve helped us move forward in 2020 with confidence. We didn't cut services, we didn't lay off staff. We were able to do all the things we normally do, except where COVID-19 limited our community interactions. Actually, we were able to expand our services this year to support our residents and businesses through the pandemic. And with our exceptional financial performance this year, we are in a strong position as a city to move forward into 2021 with confidence. In 2020, we decided to move forward with our road construction and engineering projects. We paved neighborhood streets. We resurfaced several of our busier roads. We started the Massillon Road North project in May. And by the end of the construction season, 2 of the 3 roundabouts were open to traffic as the corridor began to take shape. Construction activities along Massillon Road will continue over winter and throughout 2021. In 2020, we added a new playground at Bettler Park, replacing older equipment with a new, inclusive play structure located near the newly rebuilt Lichtenwalter Schoolhouse. The historic schoolhouse, unfortunately, didn't have the chance to welcome Greene's 3rd grade class this past spring. However, it has been beautifully restored and is ready to host classes when the students are able to return. And finally, we completed the construction of Fire Station Number 3, located at the corner of Mayfair and Rayber Roads. We dedicated the new station on September 2nd, documenting the opening with a video tour instead of the more traditional open house. In a normal year, these facilities would have been opened with community events and open houses, an opportunity for us to gather together to celebrate our accomplishments with community pride. In a normal year, we would have hosted parades, ceremonies, and special events. However, this was not a normal year, and we did our best to celebrate without coming together. We did manage to host a few COVID-safe events in 2020, the 4th of July Rain Tree 5K and Fund Run, the Twisted Wilderfest, and a Halloween trunk or treat. As 2021 begins, we are still dealing with uncertainty. When will the spike in cases end? When will the vaccine be readily available? When can we gather again? As we begin 2021, we are planning for a more normal summer event calendar, beginning with our Memorial Day festivities, including the parade and Memorial Day ceremony in Veterans Park. We can't wait to be a community again. Of course, we cannot promise that all our events will be held, but once again we are aggressively moving forward with hope and optimism. 2020 certainly was challenging, but it did help us to think of others and taught us resilience, the importance of community, and the need to come together. It taught us that Green is made up of good people who help one another, who pull together in times of need. It has strengthened our families. It has strengthened our community. It has taught us to be grateful for what we have. And now we know. Together we are stronger. Together we are better. We are Green together. Thank you, and God bless.